Have you ever worked with someone and you're just challenged to communicate with them? Like you just don't seem to connect. And oftentimes these are people that might be in a different office. Heck, they might be halfway around the world. But you find that it's just really hard to connect with them when you're talking to them on the phone. Well, I'm going to share with you what can change all that for you, and it's super easy. It's called going on camera. Yes, most of us today have our laptops and they have a built-in camera. If they don't, you can buy a relatively inexpensive, high-definition USB camera that just simply plugs into your USB port and onto your top of your monitor so that you can be seen. Studies show that 93% of communication is nonverbal. Now, some of that is tone and inflectuations and speed of voice, but a lot of it is this. What does this mean? This means that I'm confused or something's wrong, right? What does this mean? I'm agreeing with you. But if I'm on the phone, you can't see that. But go on video and it's game changing. I require us to have meetings weekly on my team with video. And yes, it's somewhat like the Brady Bunch. We use Zoom. And if you haven't tried out Zoom, I love the product. We've used WebEx and we've used GoToMeeting, but I found that for the money, Zoom was a little bit better. And you can even do fun things like put a green screen behind you and make it look like you're on Mars and all sorts of fun stuff. But the point of video is that you can communicate so much better. And not only that, you can connect and build a rapport, because when you see someone, it's a completely different experience. Now, there are some tricks to going on camera, so I'm going to share with you some of the big ones that I've learned the hard way. The first one is making sure that you have a pretty good camera. You know, it doesn't have to be state-of-the-art, perfect, really expensive. I'm using the one on my laptop, but you have to be very conscious of camera angle. Now, I use a Dell XPS 13. It's a phenomenal laptop, but whoever designed this, can you please move the camera? Because they put it down at, like if here's the screen, they put it down here at the bottom, not at the top. Most laptops have it at the top. So what happens if you're sitting at your laptop and the camera's down here, what's happening is you're getting this great nostril shot. Not a good look on anyone. So what I do is I'll prop it up. I actually have this little stand that came with my remote keyboard, and it pops it up at an angle, and that way I get a good shot. So you want to think of it kind of like a selfie. It's a down angle, so you don't look like you have 6 chins and no nose hairs showing. Right? So that's the first thing. Camera angle is super important. The second thing to note is your lighting. Now, I do have a couple little lights that I put in my office that will brighten it up so that people can see me. Now, maybe that's a little overboard, but I want to look good on camera, and the lights were pretty cheap. Now, if you don't have that, and maybe you're working from a home office, just literally take any lamp at all, take off the lampshade and shine it towards you. And that's going to get you a brighter look. You're going to look more wide awake, more alert, and like you care about the conversation. Now, the next thing that you want to make sure is that you know what's in your background, right? If you have books on your bookshelf and they're controversial, you might want to remove those. If you're drinking out of a coffee mug, that's fine, but be careful that it's not a coffee mug your friends gave you for your 40th birthday and it has a gag thing on it, right? You want to make sure that the things around you and that are going to show are something that you would bring to work because you are at work. Now, some of you have a home office and you're like, Heather, I work from my dining room table. What can I do? Well, that's super simple too. You can just take a sheet. You can buy on Amazon backdrops. They also make some nice screens that are actually like pictures or scenery that you can put up behind you. So think about at least getting a white bed sheet and hanging it up to hide that. Now, I've been on conference calls before where naked children go running behind you. Try and minimize that. I realize for some of you that are stay-at-home parents that are also working, that can be a challenge. There was a funny, I think it was on CNN, video where the guy was being interviewed on CNN, and all of a sudden this child comes running in, and then the nanny's crawling on the floor to try and grab the child. So you don't want to be that person, but make sure that maybe you shut the door and you have good video. The second, I guess it's about the fourth thing I want to share with you is sound quality is super, super important. A lot of you may be using the mics that are built in your laptop. I'm going to discourage you from that. On Amazon, again, you can get a relatively good mic for inexpensive. And there's the Snowball mic. The Yeti mic is really good. I have I think it's called ATK mic as well. And so I have a number of mics depending on what I'm trying to accomplish. So get yourself a good USB mic, just pop it in there and go ahead and have some good sound quality. Now, if you're somebody that's a pacer, and some of us are, I am, when I'm on conference calls, I walk like 5 miles, just kind of around the office. And what you might want to do is get what I'm wearing right now, and that is a remote lavalier mic. So you can see here, I have a lavalier mic. It's just clipped to my shirt. It's got this really handy dandy little pack here that I'm plugged into, but it's wireless, right? I don't have a cord that I'm going to trip on, which is what used to be what I did. And it just has a USB port device that plugs in. Now, this device is super, super handy, especially if you do a lot of web meetings, because what it can do, it can make it, so if you're giving a big presentation, maybe you're on site, but there are people remote, you can walk around and give that presentation through Zoom, and the people on the other end are actually going to still hear good sound quality. I use this new mic. I got this recently at a user group that I presented at last week, and I was able to also record that presentation. So there you have it, some great tips on looking great on camera and increasing communication. So please, if you have any questions, email me and I'd be happy to answer what I use today. That's what we have from Heather Edge today, and have an extraordinary day.